Hill. Thank you. It is great to be with you this morning. Did you enjoy all of that information? You know, it's a little bit overwhelming when Corey comes and he speaks and we begin talking about all of the initiatives in doTERRA. And then when we have this opportunity to see and experience firsthand some of what we're doing with our growers and with our partners that way. I loved that he shared with you that they are stakeholders in our company. They have a vested interest with us and us with them. Now, I noticed that one of the things that Tim shared when we had that wonderful group here on stage is that there was more than 25 languages that were spoken amongst that group. Wasn't that amazing? But it caused me to think and to reflect for just a moment. I think in doTERRA, we seem to have one language, and it's the language of love. Would you agree with me? We truly do love them, and we love all of you and are grateful for all that you do to help us in this wonderful and amazing work that we're doing. Now, it's my privilege this morning to spend just a few moments with you and help set the stage for our next three speakers, as well as share a little bit more information with you. Now, you remember over the last year or two, we've talked a lot about Copaiba coming from Brazil. And we've talked a lot about the endocannabinoid system and the value that it brings. And today I want to highlight just a couple of really quick things for you. One is to make sure that we're in the same understanding with some of what we have positioned ourselves as with Copaiba and why we feel like it has great value. But give a reminder of the differences that exist within that essential oil and some of the other things that we hear in the marketplace. Now, one of the things that we all know and that we all now firmly understand about the endocannabinoid system is that it's not singular in its outcome, nor is it singular in the things that it provides for us throughout the entire body. It's not isolated to just one area or one system or one component within the body. And that is significant for us for a number of different reasons. Can I, before I go any further, can I just ask you a question? Did you enjoy yesterday? Did you have the same sense that I did that yesterday we reached a pinnacle? We've been climbing this mountain for a long, long period of time. And yesterday you got full view and full purpose of why these types of discussions are so critical within doTERRA. And more importantly, I felt very grateful for yesterday. It wasn't a moment of validation for me, it was a moment of deep and sincere appreciation. Can we tell all of our doctors, all of our scientists, all of our partners that we work with in this way, the hospitals and the universities, can we share with them just our gratitude and how much we appreciate all of their great, great effort that they do for us? Now let's talk about the cannabinoid system again just real quickly. Now, one of the things that is unique about it is that it does help us to normalize a lot of body systems and a lot of body functions. Now, by normalizing body systems and functions, you saw that Mark put me in a headlock the other day after I was done speaking. I'm not going to be any more careful today. It turns out he's not very strong, so I'm okay. I think I'll be just fine. When I talk about normalizing body systems, I really want you to understand what it is that we mean when we say that. We know that every single one of us in one way or another are going to have specific challenges in terms of our health. And those challenges are going to come to us in a variety of different ways. You've also heard lots of discussion over this few days talking about one of the biggest challenges that we face, within the body is the need for us to be able to control and have proper inflammatory responses. When we don't, I thought Dr. Riggs yesterday gave you a great example of many of the outcomes that we see when those systems are not supported properly, when we don't have the strength that we need, the resiliency that we need within those types of systems within the body. It was somewhat sobering to realize how effective and how massively that affects each and every single one of us in this room today. The endocannabinoid system is part of your body's defense system for all of those things that were discussed yesterday. And so it's important that we have good, proper stimulation, utilization of that system throughout the body. Now, these are the things that you always hear about with the endocannabinoid system. This is what all the excitement and enthusiasm is about. There's another part to the endocannabinoid system that I think we overlook, that we don't really talk very much about. And that is that it creates a space of homeostasis within the body. Now, I know when we talk about homeostasis, we always seem to be talking about the neurology of the body, specifically the autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic versus sympathetic, fight or flight response, rest and digest. Homeostasis is more than that. Homeostasis is how your body interprets information. It's the experiences that we have. It's mood, it's emotion, it's appetite, it's energy, it's all of those substances and those systems and components of how our body functions combined together. And in one way or another, the endocannabinoid system has effect and influence within that. And so it's critical that we learn how we can best support that functioning within the body. Now, last year I had a great opportunity to speak with you a little bit about some of the differences between CBD and with our Copaiba essential oil. I had to laugh this morning. Somebody reminded me that you said that Copaiba is supposed to be pronounced Copaiba. Well, it depends on what part of the world you're in. Who do we have here from Brazil today? Copaiba, I'm speaking directly to you. And that is what they refer to it there in their home country, so I followed their lead. So let's talk about CBD just for a moment. Now, I know that there remains a lot of enthusiasm, there remains a lot of energy, there's a lot of individuals, maybe even here with us today, who have some excitement about this essential, well, it's not an essential oil, it isn't, but who have a lot of excitement about what is being called an oil. Let me share with you two really quick points, just give you something to think about. First, CBD oil, we've made it abundantly clear that while we're not necessarily opposed to the idea and the concept, has some challenges that remain for us here at doTERRA. And so I want to restate our position that we are not providing this for you. And the reason why we are not is because there are some analytical challenges. One of the things that you should have learned yesterday in our pursuit for purity is that we do a lot of analytics. And there are some analytical challenges in that we don't see consistency, and we do not want to invest in that consistency. The other thing that we see is that there's some regulatory challenges. We talked about this. We said in spite of a lot of individuals being willing to move this forward and to share this, there are regulatory challenges. And in our pursuit of being pure within this company, we will follow and adhere ourselves to those practices and regulatory environments that demand that we do so. And we're not willing to take any risks that way as a company. We will not do that. Corey this morning shared with you that you are our primary stakeholders in this company. We are working to protect you in all elements of that, including this one. But perhaps the most primary reason why we are going to hold to our position of not providing this for you at this time is because it does not meet our CPTG standards. And I really don't care, and I think I believe I speak for all of my partners, regardless of what the trends are in the marketplace, regardless of what everyone else says, we will not go against our own standard. Now, that brings me to another point. Perhaps one of my favorite discussions of convention this year has been quack, quack, quack. I'm going to get Greg Cook a shirt that says quack, quack, quack. I took that point to heart when I heard that, and I realized something. We need not concern ourselves with what everyone else is doing. We're in a circumstance where we are doing something different by design and by choice. And that difference leads us into a different type of discussion in doTERRA. So when we look at an oil like Copaiba, it's not just another essential oil. You've learned that we put tremendous amounts of thought and energy into the purpose, the use, and why that becomes so valuable for us. In this case, here we have 4 very individual species of Copaiba. We have blended them together. Not only does it give us uniqueness within this product, and it stands as a differential between ourselves and every other company who might even offer Copaiba, it allows us to have different outcomes. It allows us to accentuate the real value that we see within the essential oils themselves. Now, one of the key and unique things that we see within this essential oil is, of course, this is probably my only chemistry discussion in this entire convention, is going to be because of the sesquiterpene concept. Nearly 100% sesquiterpenes. We have an oil that has great complexity because of that. You need to understand, or you should know, that some of the oils that we represent to you don't have the same complexity. Complexity of oils comes from the chemistry. Complexity of the oil comes from how that chemistry interacts and responds within the body. The more complex the chemistry becomes, in some cases, the more broad the stroke can be for the value and the benefit that we receive. In other cases, the more complex the chemistry, the more specific and the more focused we can be. And in this case, with Copaiba, because of this high concentration of sesquiterpenes, and because of the complexity of that chemistry, we receive some very specific benefits. One, we have higher metabolic potential. It means the outcomes and the benefits we receive from this essential oil has an expectation that is very high, partially because of how it interacts with the endocannabinoid system, but partially because of the diversity of that chemistry, multiples of pathways and outcomes that we can influence. The other thing that we see with an essential oil that has high sesquiterpene load, and this is one of the things that I love about this essential oil, is we get longer lasting benefits. It's not just a one and done usage model. Many times when we use an essential oil that has great complexity, it gives us the ability to have, of course, primary metabolites, primary metabolism. But then there can be secondary and tertiary metabolism and metabolites that each individually do more good and allow us to carry and continue the effect and the benefit that we're receiving. So yes, I'm stating with you one more time, we are about Copaiba. Yes, we are doing that above and beyond anything else in the marketplace. Yesterday, you heard me talk about how wonderful and amazing and how excited I am about the turmeric dual cap. But you remember at the end of that conversation, I said, one of the things that we should partnership with that new product is the use of Copaiba because of the value that it brings to us. Now we know some other things about Copaiba that allow it to be differentiated. And by the way, these are qualities that we see in nearly every single essential oil. We know that, for example, we have a complete oil profile. When we look at something like a CBD, where we have a isolated molecule that's then put into a carrier oil, and that's why it's called an oil, that's different than when we have a complete chemical profile, like what we see within the essential oils. And remember that the essential oils behave differently than any other form of botanical or any other form of natural medicine that we might be exposed to. The other reason that we see that is because we have direct receptor activation. This has been something that doTERRA has been focused on for some time as we unfold more of the mystery of essential oils. We're beginning to understand where and how they work, the pathways that they followed. And I've got to tell Dr. O, thank you for all that he shared with you yesterday in exposing to you some of those pathways and some of the things that we now understand that nobody has ever seen before in the world. Now, I found this interesting. There are more than 1,000 studies that have been done currently on Copaiba. And one of the things that's been noted, which is, in my opinion, very important, is that small amounts of this essential oil can create great benefit. Long-lasting, sustained benefits, you've already learned as well. From just 1 to 3 drops seems to be sufficient to activate the endocannabinoid system. Seems to be sufficient to have this interaction with the receptors and to have the downstream effects and benefits that come from that in multiple outcomes. Now, it's my privilege. We thought it would be interesting, rather than just restating our position and talking about our strategy with Copaiba, we thought it would be good to give you a little bit more information today. And so I'd like to take a moment and introduce to you 3 gentlemen who I have a tremendous amount of.
We're going to see those in 3 more segments.